Hi, I'm Jonas from Whole Body Chiro. If it's one thing that I wish I knew earlier in my career as a chiropractor, but also as a judo athlete that had frequent injuries, is how to recover quicker from those injuries. And today I want to run through a strategy we can get a 25% faster recovery to get back to sport or physical activity after an acute injury. I first learned about this concept in this YouTube video, and I will include a short snippet of what the relevant section of that video is. A long video. I'll put the video, full video link, so you can go and have a look at it. But if you don't have an hour and a half or whatever it is to watch it right now, then just look at this snippet. At the end of it, I will run through how you can apply this if you have spinal issues. So a neck issue, mid-back issue, and lower back issues. How to specifically use the protocol they recommend to get that 25% faster recovery time after an acute injury. So let's have a look at the video.
Got it. But he did a beautiful study with one of his trainees, Monica. And what she did is she took a bunch of his patients that had injuries, and she either had them load 2 days after injury or 9 days after injury. And then she followed them for when they got back to sport. And what she found is the ones that they loaded at day 2 after the injury, they got back 25% faster than the ones that they loaded at 9 days.
That's incredible.
That's typical. So as you said before, what is our standard of care? Our standard of care is rice. Okay. And so I'm going to go a step further. If you go and you sprain your ankle and you go to the doctor, very good doctor, very well-meaning, they're going to give you a boot. And what is a boot? So I told you that a scar forms when we get stress shielding. What a boot is, it is a mechanical stress shielder. What it's designed to do is to take the stress off the tissue you've injured.
Mm-hmm.
If I've told you that the thing that's going to cause that tissue to get a scar is that you take off the tension, what I've just done is I've made the problem worse.
Yeah.
I always tell people that the first recorded immobilizer for an ankle or a leg is from Egyptian hieroglyphs where they showed pictures 4,500 years ago. If I took you and you said you had cancer, you would not want a treatment that was developed 4,500 years ago. You would hope that something new has been developed in the last 4,500 years. That is where we are for our orthopedic situations. I understand that you cannot put full load on a surgical repair immediately. But what you can do is you can take it out at the beginning of the day. You can remove it from the boot, and I can do some isometric loads with low jerk. So I'm going to develop force slowly. I am going to make sure that there's zero pain, and I am going to hold that. And then I'm going to let that off slowly. And I'm going to do that 4 times, 30 seconds. Now I've given load. And then I can put it back into that boot, stress shield it. I'm going to take the boot off at night. And I'm going to do it again. Just doing that, I'm getting those 2 loads. In this case, the Achilles tendon that we've ruptured. Now what I've done is I've accelerated my return to activity massively. Again, the key is we're not trying to be, I'm the strongest in the world. We're trying to say, I'm putting a little bit of load through that. Okay?
Yeah.
That is the key, is that you don't get all caught up in the machismo of it. And you just say, I just want to feel tension across the area. What we say is, if you can feel an ice pick, that means there's a very specific spot that hurts. Stop. If I feel like a warm burning area, like I'm muscle soreness after exercising, that's totally okay. That kind of soreness, not point specific pain, that's okay. What we're doing, add the load slowly, hold it, take the load off slowly. Now what we can do is we can get those individuals back much, much, much faster.
So basically what I say is that you want to load that injured tissue as early as possible. So really within a day or 2, you put load on the tissue after injury. However, the load needs to be applied in a certain way. You can't do a jerky, fast movement, or you can traumatize and injure the tissue further. So you just gently increase the load until you feel like this is a safe amount of tension that I can maintain here. And then you hold that position for 10 to 30 seconds and then slowly load off again. And then you can give the tissue a bit of a rest, do it again until you build up to about 100 seconds of load. So you can do 10-second loading cycles times 10 rounds to get 100 seconds. Or say that you do, it's 30-second loading round and you might do 4 rounds. Then you can rest that tissue for at least 6 hours or so. We have a refractory period where you've given the stimulus to the scar tissue fibers that line down to lay down in the right direction, so not in a mishmash spider web that's dysfunctional. Now when the healing is happening with the tissue in a functional, correct direction, so you don't need to remodel or re-heal that tissue over time. Then after 6 hours, you do the same exercise again. So you want to do it frequent, twice a day, roughly. And then let's apply this to your spine now. So if you're starting with your neck, when you look at your spine in general, you have these big loaves of bread looking muscles on each side here. And as they contract, they pull the spine back and it gets stretched as you bend forward. And if it's on this side and it contracts, it sort of side bends that way. So you stretch it, you bend that way. And then you have something to go across like this for rotation as well. So take that into consideration as well. So if we start with the neck and say that we have a traumatized muscle on the lower right here, the way we can apply that to the neck is that, first of all, tuck the chin and just roll segment by segment until I feel a stretch in the lower neck. If I want to target the right side more, we can have a side bending to the left to stretch that. So combine those two, roll forward, and then at the end, target that side tilt that way. And just gently against my finger pressure here, I'm pushing up while the hand is pulling down to stretch those muscles. Once I've held that for 10 to 30 seconds, I gently let go and offload it. If I want to do the upper neck in the suboccipital area underneath the base of the skull here, I don't tilt the head as far. And up there, that controls a lot of rotation. So if I want to target the right, I could rotate to the left to stretch the right side. So same here, chin back, tuck the chin down and stretch the top there. And if I rotate towards the right, to the left, get a good stretch there. Now if we want to go a bit further down into the mid-back, just curl a bit further. So say I want the lower mid-back. Start to feel that stretching a bit there. If I want the right side, I can side bend to the left, or even combine it with rotation towards the left until I find a spot where I get the stretch in the tissue that feels like it needs it. If you want to make it a bit stronger, you can use a weight. So with all this, obviously dealing with the spine, if you have an acute injury and you think you have nerve damage or instability that can put pressure on your spinal cord or nerve roots, don't do this. But if you've been cleared for that not being the case, it's more of a muscular, skeletal things like tendon, ligaments, muscles, then this is safe to do. So roll down here. Find the spot here that's feel like I need a stretch. Side bend and rotate a bit, and that's perfect there. And I can just hold that. Once I'm ready to let go, offload it, slowly and gently go back to neutral. Lower back, once again I can use a weight like this to just pull me down a bit further, so that gradual recruitment from the top and down until I feel the area where I feel like I need a stretch. Upper lumbar for me is probably about here. That feels good. Once again, if you target the right, side bending left. In fact, if it's really dominant on one side, if I want to target the left here, for example, I could just work on side bending. This shoulder down, left shoulder up, a little bit forward, and I can really get that side to stretch. Another really effective tool for lower and mid-back issues is the Roman chair. So here, this is like perfect for isometric loading of your back. You can just hold that underload there. But if you want to be more specific, you can do, as I said before, roll down until you get a particular spot that you feel need loading. So now I'm getting that low right here again, tilting towards the left and forward, and just holding that position. Now holding it there to stimulate those healing tissues So as it's inflamed, they're laying down scar tissue to mend the tear or damage there. And now we just stimulate those fibers to lay down in the right direction. They get the stimulus that this is the direction the fibers goes. This is how they get stretched and loaded. So we need to take that into account when we lay down this tissue. So if you do this frequent, early on after an injury, you can heal and get back to sport 25% faster. This is worth doing. Try it out and good luck.